Welcome back to Hurdle the Line. This is the review show where normally you will hear Chapman's voice first. You will not hear mine. Chapman is unfortunately not with us this week for fantastic reasons. So we're missing Chapman this week, but as ever, we're joined by Mr. Browns himself, Ollie. We are joined by Chiefs UK legend, Tom. And we got a special little guest with us this week. And how we've managed to find two Browns fans in the world, nobody has a clue. And neither of them are even in Cleveland, so haven't been forced to do it. We have the man with the legend himself, Batch. How are we all, gentlemen, this evening?
Good evening, young man. You all right?
Good, mate. How are you?
Loving it, my life, apart from being a Browns fan.
Yeah, I think you're more surprised you managed to get two Browns fans willing to come out from under their rocks today, Fletch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but we're here. We're ready to talk NFL football. Anyone other than the Browns, we're ready to talk about them.
Unfortunately, don't get away with no Browns talk, but we can limit that, and we can just talk about. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit of time.
I think we'd rather limit the Browns talk.
Yeah, we will. We'll just talk about the Commanders instead and how good they are later on. But with that being said, some little house rules. I think. Well, a couple of things you need to be aware of before we get going. My Detroit Tigers take on Ollie and Batch's Cleveland Guardians as we are recording this. So if we are slightly not quite in it, we might have to throw to Tom just to kind of get us through a couple of little parts of this episode because you have no dog in the fight in the baseball. But with that being said, let's just get straight into talking football. Let's not dwell too much on baseball right now. I believe we've got a couple of pieces of news. I don't have any of this news. Batch has brought through like a paper's worth of news. Do you want to let us know what some of these headlines are, Batch?
Yeah, so first one, Jabril Peppers. He was arrested Saturday morning in Braintree, and police have said he's being charged with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and possession of a Class B substance. Now, this is all alleged, so let the justice system do it, obviously, but if any of that sticks, then yeah, he's not in for a long career, to say the least. What else do we have? So, Dolphins lost another player on injury. That was Javon Holland, safety, broken bone in his hand. Yep, and then Dax Hill for the Bengals, out for the rest of the season, feared torn ACL. And the old man in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers, has got a low ankle sprain. Couldn't have happened to a nicer man.
I agree. Absolutely.
We did also have a fan favourite helmet headline this week, which we've been missing for quite a few weeks. But
what is it?
But this week's helmet headline is the Texans debuted their new alternative helmet in their win against the Bills. So good to kick off their first ever game in their new alternate uniforms with a win. And I crapped on them a little bit, the helmets and the jerseys when they first came out. I said they looked a little bit XFL or like college football. I said they looked either XFL or they looked like the Mountain West Conference, which Fletch would understand probably a bit more. And we ranked them, didn't we, Tom? And I ranked them quite low. But seeing them on the TV yesterday, they were. I'll tell you what, they were a bit nicer than they initially looked. So I'll give them a bit of credit for that.
So that's brilliant. Very, very, very glad to have a helmet headline back. It's been arguably the most missed thing. The thing that absolutely nobody has asked for, but everybody has wanted.
Exactly. We nearly had to create our own.
Exactly. Well, I don't want to be going into what helmet headlines we're coming up with on our own. I'd rather we didn't.
It's nice to be.
for the other account, for the NSFW account.
Yeah, sorry. I get confused which one we're on sometimes.
Yeah, you do. It makes the group chat really awkward. Anyway, moving on to actual football and actual helmets that you physically put on your head, we're going to get into what was, in my opinion, one of the best weekends of football that I've seen in a while. Very lucky for myself, as my team was not, well, we were on a bye week, so I could just appreciate all the amazing football this weekend. From college football to the NFL, just seemed like a great weekend for the sport. Just overall views on the games this weekend. Tom, like,
we got
how
the
good was
most football we've ever got on a Sunday. Or so, I saw it was like 15 hours,
Yeah,
27 minutes
consecutive
of
football.
pure football. So who doesn't love that? And yeah, some absolute cracking. It seems like the first 3 weeks is they kind of sleepwalked and then absolutely like blew into life in week 4. Like there was offenses were, performing well again, and the points were up, and there was some incredible games.
You forgot defenses, 101 yard touchdowns.
Within like 2 minutes of each other as well. Like, that was insane. My God.
Yeah, that was one of the best things ever. I was watching Red Zone instead of picking a specific game. I normally trying to, but I was just watching Red Zone, and yeah, when the one for the Seahawks happened, and as that's going on, I'm like, oh bloody hell, that's really cool. I turn around, and then 2 seconds later, there's another one coming up on Red Zone, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Just brilliant. What about you two, guys? Have you enjoyed your day of football yesterday?
Well, I don't know what Tom's talking about scoring. I didn't see too much of that from my team this week. No, it was a great weekend of football, as Tom said. Longest consecutive day of football we've ever had. Obviously, kicking off with the first London game this weekend with the Vikings Jets at 2:30, and then obviously, pardon me, due to the delay in the Cowboys game. The slate technically didn't end to even later than it normally does. So, great slate of football, as you both said, and there was a lot of great games that I'm sure we're going to dive straight into.
It would have been especially great if you didn't have dogs in the fight, you two.
Yes, it was fantastic to be in that position. It really, really was.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The thing is, though, Tom, you say who doesn't love that? When you are actually up at 1:20, 1:30 in the morning, going, right, let's just get me to half time and see how I feel, and then you're going, well, what would be half time? The point where it kind of starts to get ready to go down. The game's just starting. I weren't loving that too much. I weren't loving that one too much.
No.
But we've tried. What we've tried to do is, as normal, we've got a couple of games that we're going to focus on a little bit more, couple of games, and then we'll fly through a few at the end. Tiering these games was very, very difficult, and I think when we proposed the original tier list of games, everyone just kind of went, yeah, that's fine. We'll just do what we need to do with these games. That's fine. It's very, very difficult, but we'll start off with what I believe personally, and I know we've said off camera that this was the game of the week. The Bengals and the Ravens, in which the Ravens walked away victorious 41-38 after overtime. Now,
absolute shootout.
Did any of you guys watch this as an actual game? I had Red Zone on. Did any of you guys just sit down and watch the whole game?
I watched the whole fourth quarter, putting it on, coinciding with the mess that was the Browns game. And as you can imagine, my eyes were leaning more towards the great football we were seeing in the Bengals Ravens game. So obviously, I got to see the first 3 quarters on Red Zone in the background, and then got to see pretty much the full fourth quarter and the overtime period, which I think just the final 6 minutes of the game has a 35-minute highlight video on the NFL YouTube page right now. So that just goes to show you how much went down in that fourth quarter. It was a great game. As everyone said, shootout, 41-38. Both quarterbacks. I mean, is it 9 touchdowns between the two of them? 5 for Joe Burrow, 4 for Lamar Jackson. Whole lot of yards, whole lot of touchdowns. Who could complain about that?
And including in that one with Lamar as well, that touchdown he threw where he had like 3 guys on him. That's honestly the touchdown of the year, I think, to be honest. That was insane.
He fumbled the snap. He took about 2 seconds to actually pick the ball up. He didn't even pick the ball up straight away. He then bobbled the ball on the floor, was able to stay composed, pick the ball up, run away while stiff arming the defender off of him, get rid of him, and then, as you said, Tom, run into the sideline, throw that touchdown with about 3 defenders on him. Not just touchdown of the year, Tom. That's a candidate for touchdown of the century. That's one of the best touchdowns I've ever seen.
That was ridiculous.
I generally could not believe my eyes watching it. It just goes to, it just
that's
furthers
the sort of thing you attempt in Madden and you get picked off every time. Like, seriously.
It just extends the highlight reel that Lamar Jackson is. He's just a human highlight reel.
It was kind of nice to see Joey B doing Joey B stuff, because let's be honest, he's not exactly had much form in the last season and a half, would you say? Since he had injuries last season, he started this season really slowly, but then he threw all these passes and touchdowns, and then, let's go for a running play on the final play. What? Why?
Yeah,
let the big dog eat.
The play calling was slightly questionable. I mean, they got the turnover, and then playing it safe, decided to run the next 3 plays
3 straight times.
And I mean, it was you were at what, a 55-yard field goal where they got the ball. So as you said, Batch, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more aggressive play calling there. Try and give your kicker another 25-yard cushion.
Yeah.
And as much as, yes, it's the NFL and these kickers are expected to make even 50-yard field goals now. Why make it harder for him? Try and get at least an extra 10 yards.
It wouldn't have mattered anyway if the actual holder had held the ball properly and he would have been able to get pretty easy. But it wasn't on him that he missed the kick.
Oh no,
the
not
whole
at all.
operation was off, wasn't
it?
The
whole operation was off. Yeah.
And then Derrick Henry has been bottled up the majority of the game.
Very next play.
He had 12 carries, and then that second to last play where he runs all the way down the sideline and sets up the game winner is just that's Derrick. That's prime Henry.
He is an impressive specimen of an athlete. The size of him, and he's got up there in the top 5 speeds running in the NFL.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If you're a defender and that's coming against you, you're thinking, I'm putting my body on the line here, because he's like an 18-wheeler coming at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you said,
I got to see him live last year in person, watching the Titans Ravens, and even the size of him compared to some of these other players is just absolutely massive. It's just insane.
Yeah, he's a bodybuilder. Yeah. He's a bodybuilder at running back. But as you said, Tom, to miss a field goal, a potential game-winning field goal against your division rival when you're 1-3 on the season, it's such an important game. That would have been such a monumental win for them in their kind of challenge to crawl back into this season. And not only did they miss the field goal, but as you said, the very next play for the Ravens, Derrick Henry takes it 52 yards to basically essentially set up the chip shot. Why even run another offensive play? Why even risk the chance of the operation going wrong like it did literally the play before when they fumbled the ball? Yeah. So just, that just basically ended the game. And what a stomach punch to, that's the true, I want to smash my TV in this moment.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to give credit to the Ravens for, and something that I've kind of, gone on them a bit, is can they come back from a lead? It's one of the things that I questioned with the Derrick Henry signing. And they led, they were behind by 10 points 3 times in this game. And 2 of those times, 2 separate occasions in the fourth quarter where they were down by 10 points and they were able to come back in this game. Granted, they probably should have lost the game with, Cincinnati should win that game with at the end there, but they didn't. So credit to Baltimore for able to come back and win that game.
Yeah. I just want to throw out there as well. Hang on, if so in this game as well, like you say, we had some insane quarterback play, and I wanted to turn around and just go on about how if you just watch Lamar Jackson highlights from this, like that's just some quarterbacks don't get that many highlights in a season. That's it, it's an insane tape. But just looking at some of the stats here that I'm going to throw out there, just to show you what kind of game this was. And yes, it went to overtime, so some extra yards are put on there, but that doesn't take away from just how good this game was. Lamar Jackson, 26 of 42 for 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, quarterback rating of 119.9. Joe Burrow, 30 of 39, 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a rating of 137.
And that interception.
And that interception was key as well.
Yeah, that
right
interception, man, that really did cost them. And maybe that's what influenced Zach Taylor's decision to run the ball on those 3 plays at the end after seeing that interception that Burrow threw.
Yeah.
And it was a bad interception.
Yeah, it was.
Apologies, didn't mean to overspeak. What's surprising is the Bengals, I should say, their defense, how it's just not working at the moment.
It's just terrible. It's terrible at the moment. They can't tackle. They can't. Yeah, they they pride themselves on their defense, like with Joe Burrow early in his career. The reason they were in some of those games because of the defense.
And it's really just not functioning.
Just to drop off completely.
That's a great.
They're kind of lucky.
Yeah, you're both spot on. You look at the key games that they've won in their kind of success that they've had the last few years, especially in the playoffs and especially in that Super Bowl run. The defense was arguably the biggest factor behind that. That defense has been such an underrated piece to that team and why they've been successful. So it's definitely noticeable that now that this season the defense is not playing as well, even with Joe Burrow throwing for 5 touchdowns and 300 yards, it's still not enough to win the game. And they're now 1-4, and it's amazing. I tweeted it earlier. I don't think I've ever seen 2 teams with the same record more different than the Browns and the Bengals right now, because you've got a team that's 1-4 with a quarterback that is arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL. And then you've got a team that's 1-4 with a quarterback that is arguably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL and is putting up a pretty a pretty sneaky MVP season when you look at the numbers. But he's 1-4.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy. It just shows you how the NFL can be a cruel world.
Yeah. I just wanted to shout out as well, though, that on the ground, granted, with Derrick Henry, he had the 51-yard rush at the end, so that has a lot. It kind of changes the numbers in a lot of ways for Derrick Henry's game, though. But he was 15 attempts on the ground, 92 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson on the ground, 12 attempts, 55 yards. But then they've got in the receiving game, you had Zay Flowers put up one hell of a game with 111 yards, no touchdowns. Their touchdowns came through Kohler, Bateman, and 2 for Isaiah Likely. And then you've got alternatively on the Bengals side, their leading rusher was Brown for 46 yards all game. Then it was Moss with 24 and Burrow with a whopping 1 yard all game in yardage. But then you've got on the other side in their receiving game, you've got Jamar Chase who put up 193 yards in the air with 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins, 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of the big keys for me there is you've got to turn around and say one thing the Bengals do not have, and I've thought this last couple of weeks. The run game is not helping. You've got to somewhat have something to help open up that passing game. Something's got to help. You've got to give Burrow something to work with. And if you're coming up against teams like that who just know, well, what's the point? Your run game's nothing. You just keep throwing it. There are a couple of teams in the league at the moment like this. Not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, and it's not going to help for next week because I think Zach Moss picked up a minor injury as well.
And Mims as well, the tackle. I'm pretty sure the cart came out for him. So I haven't actually seen anything. I haven't seen anything since any news on it. But usually when the cart comes out, it's not good news. So if that's another key injury on that offensive line that similar to the Browns the last couple of years, has just seemed to be cursed for that Bengals team, because even when they've tried to bring people in and tried to improve it, it just seems that either injuries or bad play has derailed that.
Yeah.
Well, if I was them, I'd be mildly worried for after this season anyway, because they've got two of their biggest weapons are not being paid yet. T. Higgins and Jamar.
And it's
Jamar's
hard.
still got another year.
Yeah, one of them's going to get paid, and one of them's not going to be at the Bengals.
Yeah,
most
Jamar
likely,
will
right?
get paid, but it's harder to get him to take less money if you're coming off a 6-11 season than it would be coming off of an AFC Championship game appearance. It's going to be a lot harder to convince him to buy in. So that's
True.
a big downside for them. For me as a Browns
especially
fan,
with the relationship and stuff as well. Because didn't he say? I know they put it behind him now, but to start the season, there was a bit of tension between him and the organization anyway. So that's not going to help.
He said the front office lied to him
again.
That's just
he
Mike
said
Brown
front
being
office
cheap,
lied to me.
as per usual. But I mean, my final thing on the Bengals is I'm just happy as a Browns fan that they're 1-4. So at least I can still make some jokes.
Just think, Bengals' record nearly matches Joe Burrow's record against the Browns.
Quite nearly, just one game away, one loss away. Also, that reminds me, Lamar Jackson is now 9-1 against the Bengals. So we dominate Joe Burrow. He dominates the Bengals.
He's their dad. Yeah,
he is their dad. He is their father.
He is a great QB. You can't take it away.
It is annoying as not to, I am the Browns fan, guys, in case you didn't realise. But having those two in your division is a joy and a curse, because you get to watch them, and it's great to watch them. But it is also
you wanted your Browns to draft Jackson anyway.
There's no need to remind me and rubbing the salt in the wounds on a very, very unfortunate loser Monday, Tom. But thanks for doing it anyway. Thanks.
Well, what fire did throw to Ollie for the Colts for, if you're not a Colts fan?
Well,
throw back to one of my favourite videos.
Colts, but
yeah.
Colts.
Speaking of the Colts, this was a game that I've whacked in here as one of my top 3 games of the week. Yeah, the Colts.
Colts. Sorry, I'm just letting everyone know we're doing the Colts now.
The Jacksonville Jaguars finally got their first win of the season as they get ready to head over to London for 2 weeks. So nice to see them coming over off a win. That wouldn't have been very nice to have them coming in 0-5. That would have that wouldn't be great. But they, in an absolute blockbuster game, what it turned out to be, as they beat the Indianapolis Colts the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Colts in a 37-34 absolute blockbuster of a game. What turned out, again, did any of you get a chance to watch much of this?
Yeah, I was watching a lot of it, to be honest. It was back and forth. Trevor Lawrence actually made some beautiful throws as well. There was one he threw for the touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr., who's looking like an absolute stud in Jacksonville. Like, he's one of the main reasons why they're. My God, he's an absolute weapon. And then obviously Tank Bigsby got a big run as well. And Trevor Lawrence looked like, he had poise and calmness in the pocket, and he was making the throws that he hasn't been making for the last 4 weeks. Obviously, it helps when you're against a Colts defense that is not one of the in the lower tier of defenses in the league right now. But still, you can't take anything away from the Jags. Obviously, they had to outlast the Colts as well, with the Colts coming back in this game, being down by 14, and then having the Flacco Sods continue with two late touchdowns to tie it up, and obviously they lost in overtime, but still it was an absolute incredible game, back and forth, and even without Jonathan Taylor, like, the Colts really proved their own in this game as well.
Pierce had a day.
Yeah, he had a day. He had 250 plus yard receptions, insane.
Mm-hmm.
But it helps that he had a quarterback that doesn't mind erring.
Oh yeah, he will, like that. The touchdown he threw, I think it was the one to tie it up. and it was just a beautiful throw, like over the defense. I think there was two Colts and 3 Jags, and he just fit the ball in perfectly to I think it was Mo Ali Cox for the touchdown. And that was prime Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me and Batch know all about Joe Flacco.
That you do. Couple of little things I got from this weekend when I was putting some of these games together. So on that 85-yard touchdown reception, Brian Thomas Jr. is the fastest recorded ball carrier this season. He reached the top speed of 22.15 miles an hour. The next best was Nico Collins in week 1 with 21.89 miles an hour. Just to show you like that, how fast this kid is as well. It's all well and good being able to catch the ball, but he's very, very fast. And that is, like I say, the fastest ball carrier so far this season. That will take some beating to do, given the record he beat was in week 1. So, but hopefully now players are a bit warmer, etc. going into the season. We might see some more absolute barnbusters. But with that being said as well, my other little highlight and note that I put down was the fact that 41 points were scored within the fourth quarter alone. That in itself is just crazy. 41 points in one
witching hour.
Yeah, exactly. Witching hour.
Where wins become losses and losses become wins, and then it happens about 3-4 times in this game.
Yeah,
yes,
it just keeps happening.
Or if you're certain fans, losses stay losses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. But it was again a great showing from Joe Flacco in the air, and that's one thing that he got 33 of 44 for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, like you were saying there, Tom, 28 of 34 for 371 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Now that interception, that again came up on red zone, and sometimes again, Trevor Lawrence is one of those players. We've always said he's had it in his locker. I was ranting and raving 2-3 weeks ago about a touchdown he threw, but the pass was just absolute perfection. But sometimes he does things that you can only do if you are a Jacksonville Jaguar.
I've been beating the drum. I've been beating the drum that he is overrated. I like him. He seems all right, but I don't believe he's worth the money he's being paid. He's a mid QB. That's my drum that I've been beating, and I've been beating it since the London games last year when I watched him, because I don't watch many Jags games, and I've been beating that drum since last year. I found him mid. Might be harsh, but
I mean, he can make the throw. He's got the talent, and he can make the throws, as Tom said. Every game, he'll make a throw that you're like, "Whoa!" That's why he went first overall. But as you said, Batch, he definitely hasn't lived up to that expectation. To say, to put it politely, and this season, obviously being currently 1-4, then yeah, it's quite easy to make that argument.
But he's not going to go anywhere, is he? I mean, he's just signed that contract, so
he's not going anywhere.
Whoever comes in, like whether Doug Peterson does manage to keep his job, or whether someone else comes in,
saved it this week, Tom. He's Tom. We've been talking about this the last few weeks, and Doug Peterson is actually going to make it to London. So
he's going to make it to London. He's going to make it to London.
He's made his trip. So we're going to go out and personally see him, aren't we, Tom?
Yeah.
On another podcast, I heard they said how Peterson had changed the way the media was approaching him. This week he was laughing and joking with them. Last week he looked like he wanted to rip their throats out and feed it to them.
It's an interesting one. I mean, how you kind of conduct yourself, I guess, within your job, and how it's got to be a thing as a head coach there, though. If you're not in a good place, which I don't expect you to be if you're 0-4 or 0-3, etc. But there's just a way of conducting yourselves, and how then that's going to pass on to your plate, and how that gets through the organisation. It is probably a massive part that I think very few people tend to actually think about there. But one of the things I was going to say to you there was, yes, he will make it to London, fair enough. The real question, I think, is does he make it up?
Does he collect his P45 outside of Wembley?
Because I was going to say, there's a job centre right round the corner from Wembley. You might see him there on that Monday morning.
I think he'll. I
the cans.
I was going to say, I think he'll be enjoying the bars
patient.
more with the payout that he'll be getting.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
He'll be on
they
a
still have to
night
give him all
out.
the money.
Yeah, he'll be on a night out in the town, won't he?
Well, Shad Khan and Tony Khan seem quite patient with their GMs so far, and in the other business they do, with the round football and wrestling, they're quite patient and they're willing to experiment. So I think he'll make it back to the States.
Well, at least they're not stranding him on a foreign island. I'll give it to them there. I'll love that. Their bye week isn't till week 12 either, and you always I think in certain situations you look to the bye week as a point of you get to the bye week and then you go from there. That's a late bye week. If you're sacking your head coach in week 12, you've not got a salvageable season. If you're sacking him at that point, really, you're doing something just to change what's internal and set yourself up ready for the off season. So I don't know. It's something I think. Just gotta have to see how.
It's a tough ask. But I think having Brian Thomas and Tank Bigsby could be his saviour.
Yeah, Brian.
Because Trevor Lawrence,
Brian Thomas is definitely there.
The way he can.
Oh, 100%. He has been. I mean, he was as advertised as explosive receiver coming out of LSU, but I mean, even then, seeing what he's doing now is insane. That run he made, as Fletch pointed out, ran like 22 miles an hour. Like no one was catching him. That was mad.
Nope.
What's unusual though is we haven't heard much from Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I wonder if is he injured or is he just underperforming?
I think he picked up an injury during the game this week.
Oh, okay.
And he had been carrying injuries, like minor knocks.
Okay. Well, I mean, he put 7 targets, 6 receptions, and 43 yards this week. Just got it in front of me.
Yeah.
There. So
yeah, fair enough.
He's apparently dealing with a shoulder injury, so that probably doesn't help.
Yeah, well, 6 attempts for 17 yards on the ground as well. But as well, though, if you ask that question, when you've got a Bigsby and a Brian Thomas Jr., it gives you the freedom. Like I'm not choosing ETN over Bigsby at the moment. I'm not having, and that's with no disrespect to ETN, but it's very rare for teams to have 2 genuinely great backs that you can split those reps 50-50 and be happy. I'm giving it to Bigsby.
At the moment, I am, yeah.
Based on current form, yeah, he would.
Two games with 50-plus yard runs.
Exactly. But while we're on that as well, so just to start looking at, we're going to go. I'll try and start moving us on to this next game. Again, another game that was just brilliant from start. I think it was a great game. Looked to be over by half time, but it was ended up coming down to a walk-off 59-yard field goal. The Bills and the Texans. Again, I thought this game was done by half time. I was writing some tweets out for the network Twitter page and thinking, I can start to put this game in the peripheral and look at some others. Did any of you guys watch this one?
Unfortunately not.
I agree with you, mate. I watched it. I thought the same. Half time, I was like, wow, this game's over. And even then, I just don't understand the Bills. What? I mean, if Josh Allen gets concussion, then what? Why is he going back in the game so quick? He goes out of the blue tent, comes back in so quickly.
There's
He's
no
obviously
way.
Still not with it.
There's no way that they concussed. That hit, man. Like,
exactly.
His head slammed on the floor.
It slams on the floor in like an awkward way. He then comes back out. He then proceeds to throw 2 throws that look like they're going to be picks. And then, they absolutely screw it up. But he definitely wasn't with cognitive thought
he was.
with those throws. Like,
And I think showing with
mad.
how bad he was, Tom. I mean, he was 9 for 30 in the end in this game, only 131
That's
yards.
the lowest completion percentage of since like they did. I don't know. It's like the next gen stats era or something like that.
30%.
It's insane. Like he had
30%.
30% completion percentage. It's absolutely nuts.
I do think they were missing a weapon this week, though.
Mm,
Khalil Shakir.
yeah.
I think he is quite underrated, but he doesn't. Well, when he's there, Josh Allen likes to target him. And I think they did miss a weapon. But at the same time, it's Josh Allen, and he's up there, truth be told, with one of the best QBs in the NFL. But he loves to play hero ball.
Mm.
And that's always been the thing though with Josh Allen, is he has the arm, he has the talent, but he just needs to stop playing hero ball at every given opportunity.
This is why
because he's a
the
pick
Bills
machine.
have not been to the Super Bowl, is because of this. Like, yeah, they've been an incredible team. They got to the playoffs and they've done whatever, but then they risk his health too much to actually get over that hump.
Tom,
honestly,
you know more than anyone why the Bills have not made a Super Bowl, and that is because of 13 seconds and a coin toss.
And number 15.
That's what I mean. 13 seconds and a coin toss.
And little yellow
Rules
pieces
that
of
were
cloth.
changed because of it.
But they reckon that they got rid of Dorsey to play more conservative football to look after Josh Allen more.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't looking after Josh Allen.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, they certainly didn't look after him with the head injury.
No. And then afterwards, I swear that they spoke to Sean McDermott about it, and he didn't seem that wise about it either. Like, he wasn't like, he was obviously trying to downplay it, like, oh, we brought him to the medical tent and stuff. It was like, how did he go in the medical tent, come out within literally like 30 seconds or whatever, and then go back into the game?
The question is, where was the independent neurologist that they're meant to have to assess these?
Yeah, that's it. He was like, oh, I'm good to go, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll put you back in there.
These are questions that when, and I'm not even being funny. It's the same it's the same division. They are more aware of Tua Tagovailoa than 29 other teams, or whatever it is, in the league.
Yeah.
They have to be aware of just what the devastating impact of not treating concussions properly has done to a player. And they're talking at the moment about Tua coming back and playing again in the next couple of weeks, which that's a conversation for another day on that. But we have to be looking now and saying, either just there's something not right with this concussion protocol, and you can say and put as many of these different safeguards and little things in places so you can copy and paste whatever message you want to into a PR statement. Something is clearly wrong, and if not that I would ever want this to happen to somebody, but if they're putting someone's life at risk and doing certain things that are dangerous, then someone's got to be sacked.
It feels like consistency.
Someone's got to be sacked.
It feels like consistency, because there are certain players who were taken off the field and kept away after they had a suspected concussion. And then there are certain player, Josh Allen, who was allowed back on the field. You need to be consistent in enforcing the rules.
Yeah, I agree.
And well, yeah, absolutely. The consistency is important, but if you're consistently letting players back on with a concussion, that's just as much of a problem, I think. We need to be having, but there are certain things that I'm not a trained medical professional, but I'm not stupid. We've seen these. You can tell straight away, and if they do, I don't know if they're doing the whole What's your name? Josh Allen. Right, you're good. You remember your name. You go. You're out.
It was just the way. It was just the way he fell on his head. Though it was awful. Like watching
Oh,
it
it
in
was a
slow motion.
big slam, wasn't it?
There was a lot of weight bearing on that. Like, they just
But-
really botched that completely.
But look, I think the place we don't want to go to, and I continued this conversation. That's my point. Is you don't want to be focusing on this. We will talk about. Let's talk a little bit more about the on-field play. Let's get the
Yeah,
59-yard
fair enough.
walk-off field
Yeah.
goal.
For Kaimi
Everybody loves one.
Fairbairn.
Who doesn't love one?
Mm.
Unless you're the Bills right now, obviously. But who else doesn't love one when it happens?
Back-to-back weeks where we've had, 58-yarder for the win in Atlanta and then a 59-yarder in this one. Like, it was, mad.
Absolutely. I was going to go through a couple of... I know you meant... Sorry, go on, Batch.
I like the Texans. I think the Texans have got so many weapons. But CJ Stroud weren't at his best this week.
No. He
Still managed to get the win.
was confused. He did throw an absolutely beautiful touchdown to Nico Collins, where he just put it in the breadbasket. It was one of the best stories I've seen this year. Ridiculous. But then Nico Collins, then the top receiver in the NFL in terms of receiving yards in a lot of different categories, then goes out with an injury in the second half and is ruled out for the rest of the game. So, when you see that, it's never a good sign. So hopefully for the Texans fans, he's not going to be out, too long. But, when you get ruled out straight away after you go off and go into the locker room, it's never, good. So hoping for the best.
There's also one that never got mentioned. This was Diggs against his old team, wasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, he had more yards, just him, than the rest of the Bills receivers combined. I think it was like 82 to 76 or something like that.
Yeah,
so
CJ Stroud clearly
but no
made a deal
touchdown.
of throwing at him. They clearly wanted to get him the ball and for his comeback game.
Well, yeah. See, I also saw a lot of headlines that when he left the Bills, he was not happy with his amount of targets, and Josh Allen in a previous press conference had kind of took a dig at that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So it was nice to, I like Diggs, but at the same time, I like an equal share between all the receivers. So it's putting himself forward in the stat line rather than team.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mentioned Keon Coleman as well. 5 targets, 1 reception, but 49 yards and a touchdown.
that
there were a couple
touchdown
of
was
other
so nice as well. 4th and 5, I think it was, for the Bills.
There were a couple of others. I think there was a point where he got a penalty late on in the game, which really didn't help the Bills. And I think I can't remember why. Again, it was on red zone. It kind of flashed on. I saw it out the corner of my eye. I just saw it. I know we got the penalty that really didn't help him. But there was complaints a couple of weeks ago that Josh Allen wasn't looking his way. It's nice to see Keon Coleman starting to get looked at by Josh Allen and start to see some targets. Because, listen, and I will let you have, Ollie was very much known about Keon Coleman before most people started talking about him after the draft and him being funny and all that sort of stuff. Ollie's been one of the ones who shouted about Keon Coleman. So, have you had any doubt that he would finally start seeing targets from Josh Allen? Ollie?
I mean, I hope so. He's
Ollie, that's you.
He's my pre-draft darling. Everyone knows how high I was on Keon Coleman. Someone that if he had fell out of that first round, I'd have been calling Andrew Berry myself to try and trade up and go and get. So yeah, obviously an increased target, increased targets for him is going to be a good thing. For him and obviously hopefully the team going forward.
Yeah. With that in mind, though, let's start moving on to some of the other games we're going to start. Not quite flying through yet, but there are a couple we want to focus on. Mention the Colts and Jags. One of the great things about the Jags is they're coming over to London this week, and I'm going to I'm kind of gonna bump one or two teams over together here because they're gonna be playing in London this week, so I'll give them a little bit more of a shout. We had the Bears and the Commanders, and again, I want to give Ollie this opportunity. Right, bear with me here for 1 second. Ollie, Caleb Williams, 20 of 29.
Yeah.
A 69%. That's my favourite stat of the day, by the way, that Caleb Williams had a 69% passing completion percentage. 20 of 29, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 126.2 passer rating. Is he here? Has he arrived?
He has arrived.
Or is it just the Panthers?
Against the daunting Panthers defense that everyone knows is quite a big challenge this year. They've been a very good defense. Caleb Williams, because he's so good, was able to dice that defense up. No, it's good to see him finally have a positive game, stat wise. It's always going to help the confidence. Whenever you throw for over 300 yards as a quarterback, you're going to be hanging your stuff pretty low that week and going into the next game, especially in a win. So, obviously, as the resident Caleb Williams fan, I am very happy for Caleb getting the win in this game. And obviously coming to London. Is it next week? Is it this week coming up that Caleb's playing in London?
Weekend coming up.
Yes.
Coming up.
So this weekend coming up, Caleb playing in London. So if anyone wants to know where I will be this weekend, I won't be at the game. I'll just be following the bus like a stalker, trying to with a sign up saying, "Caleb, I'm your biggest fan." So if you see that sign, come and say hello to me.
We have been advised.
I changed my opinion.
I'm sorry, Batch, I have to do this by law. We have been legally advised to remind you not to approach Ollie in public. Please don't do it. He seems lovely on the podcasts, but he's not safe to approach in public. Sorry, what were you saying there, Batch?
I changed my opinion on him because I really thought, with all the furore that surrounded him in the off season, I thought, he's just going to be one of those that it doesn't work out for. But then Hard Knocks, he changed my opinion on him, and I really gravitated towards him, and I thought he was, a bit of a baller, and he's a hard worker as well. So fair play to him, and that changed my opinion, and now I kind of root for him to do well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him to do well as well. That touchdown he threw, I think it was the second one, where he laid it over the top of the defense. That's the sort of throws that he can make. And when he made that throw and it put them up by, I think they were already up by maybe 2 scores anyway. But it was such a big play. That was really, really good to see that progress. An absolute dominating win for the Bears.
And the Bears sneakily now 3-2. Well and truly alive in that NFC playoff picture. I know it's still early to obviously be talking about playoffs, but for a team that there's kind of been some bad vibes around the team with how they started the season. Some people have been kind of they performed under expectation, but to be 3-2 with a rookie quarterback, it's in the end of the day, I'd be happy with that as a Bears fan.
One thing I did notice, and there's two things I want to kind of bring up here. One, everyone's been waiting for it. He's finally found that connection with DJ Moore in game. The 2 touchdowns both to DJ Moore. DJ Moore was 5 receptions off 8 targets for 105 yards. Everyone else but the Packers, Vikings, and Lions fans like myself, we've not been waiting for it. Everyone else has, though. The other thing I was going to say on this as well was one thing I feel like I noticed was that old line is not great in Chicago. And there's a great picture from a couple of weeks ago of Caleb trying to escape the pocket. And if you actually look behind him, 3 of his old linemen are on the backs. The other one's on his way on to being on his back. It looked like one of those really, like the Renaissance painting of Manchester City Centre on New Year's Eve, where everyone's kind of falling over with beer in their hands. It looked a bit like that. And one thing I noticed is that the O-line has not got a lot better, but what he's got a better idea of is where the pressures are going to start coming from on that line. and he seems. Just watching some of the highlights yesterday, he seems to know that, say, on certain plays, on certain pass pros, the pressure's more likely going to hit him from the left, and he seemed ready, a bit more ready to roll out to the right.
Yeah.
Something that I actually think says a lot about he being a student of the game and learning how to play and not reading defenses, but understanding the game and how to. That speaks volumes for me. His understanding of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it
One
shows
thing
he's
we
getting.
have
turned down from him a bit.
It shows he's getting comfortable as well. You know, I think you could clearly see he was under quite a bit of you know, stress of the first couple of weeks, as you said, with the O-line giving up quite a bit of pressure and him not being able to not only identify that pressure, but then, you know, deal with the pressure when it did come. So great, you know, forward strides to see from him. As you said, Fletch, and hopefully he can use this as a kind of trampoline and go on and have a good season that we all kind of expect him to have, even as a rookie.
Absolutely.
One thing we ain't mentioned though is their D. Their D's doing quite well as well.
Never
Mm.
forget to
Jaquan
bring up the
Brisker,
D.
Yeah.
class.
Mm.
No comment.
I've got D all over me today. It's fine.
Yeah.
I love a bit of the D today.
Well, especially with some of the great
one thing I
defense
do
we're
want to
seeing
mention
from
as
these
well,
Guardians, Fletch.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 50
that's fine.
minutes. I've
And some
kept
of the
it
great
50
pitching
minutes
from
before I've
Screwball.
mentioned the baseball.
We have. Well
I've done well.
Another, the only other thing I'll mention. So there was a video yesterday. I speak about the O-line. There's a great video of Caleb standing up to the
Oh, I love that.
to the
Love
line,
that.
and he's calling out his pass pro and things like that, and his O-lineman, the center, goes, "We're under fucking fire here, man." And Caleb just kind of goes, like, "Okay, yeah, okay," and then starts calling something slightly different, like "fair play, okay."
Yeah, because he got up the line to change like the cadence or whatever, and then
Yeah.
he was like, "Fuck yeah!" I love that.
We're
I
under
love
fucking
Yeah,
that.
they were
fire,
like,
man.
"Don't put more on my plate."
Yeah. What do you reckon? He's basically gone centre. You're now triple teaming the three.
Yeah, and he was
the
like,
nose
"Nah."
and one of the. Nope.
Do you know
fuck that.
there was another one of those in one of the other games. You know, the big win for the Broncos. But the bit with Max Crosby, which I found so funny, is that he literally shouts at Bo Nix from across the line, and he's like, "Your line don't know what they're doing." Like he like just shouts at him like across the thing. He's like, "Sort out your own line, Bo." And he's so like taken aback by it.
Yeah, you'd be
It was just so
terrified.
hilarious to watch it. Yeah.
You'd be
By the way,
absolutely
going back to the
terrified.
Panthers quickly. The Panthers game quickly. Did anyone see Bryce's dime that he dropped?
Yep.
He did drop a dime.
Yeah, he did drop a dime.
And I've got a friend who's a Panther, the poor sod, but I sneakily want him to improve. I know
Yep.
Red Rocket's doing bits, but I sneakily want Bryce Young to improve.
I didn't even know he threw a pass.
Oh, it
He
was
did.
a beauty.
He
It was
threw
a beauty.
7. 4 completions.
Yeah, he came in late,
Was
didn't
it?
he?
Oh man,
They
he
brought
actually-
him in
he
when the
actually
game
made
was done. They brought him
He
in
actually
when the
made a
game
throw
was
longer
done.
than 10 yards or something.
Hey,
That's
hey.
great. Happy for him.
But I'll say
I am
this.
actually happy for him. I want him to succeed. Small quarterback, come on.
I want to say as well, just mentioning that video of the centre. At least his centre didn't throw up on the ball. Like that's can only take this one as a win this week.
That
Yeah,
was
that
brilliant.
was
That was
grim.
brilliant. Why didn't you throw it? Because the ball was coming in sick.
Look if
Yeah, literally.
well, I've gone out there on record and said I like Caleb Williams and I want him to do well. Not very well in the NFC North, but well. I don't even see Caleb Williams touching that. I say nope. But moving on to next round of games, we have the London game that's just been, the Jets and the Vikings. That was a great game.
Yeah, really good game.
Interesting. Found the referee PI calls were a little bit inconsistent.
Yes, I agree.
and it was nice to see the old man not doing so great.
Also agree.
See, I thought the connection between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson actually finally came to the fore in this game. To be fair, because they've really not been on the page the first 3 weeks. They really seem to connect. Obviously, they had that touchdown as well that brought them back into the game. But with this one, it was more like the Vikings offense that has been doing so much over the first 4 weeks. Kind of wasn't their best today, but the Vikings defense was really good. They had Rodgers under duress multiple times. Obviously, the Jets defense started out kind of slowish, and then obviously the Jets had a chance to win the game at the end with Aaron Rodgers throwing a brutal game-sealing pick. With trying to throw it to Mike Williams, but he tried to back shoulder it, and Mike Williams turned around. So gets picked off by, I can't remember who picked off.
It was what's his name?
That was the end of the game. Really?
Former defensive player of the year for the Patriots. Oh, what's his name? Stephon Gilmore.
Oh yeah, of course it was Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, it was Gilmore.
Wasn't it? Stephon Gilmore. That was it. Yeah.
See, it's weird. Aaron Rodgers and that offense just seem out of sync on so many levels. The running game, he's got one of the best running backs in the league who has had very little production. And then he goes to Braylon Allen. Allen picks up a couple of decent runs a couple of weeks ago. Admittedly, yes, it was against the Pats, but it was still good. And then Garrett Wilson, yes, this game he seemed to connect again, but usually he's not been. He likes Lazard though.
Well, 22 targets for Wilson.
He's got that connection with Allen, isn't he? Yeah, exactly.
Lazard was the one where Rodgers turned up and went, "I want him from Green Bay. Go get him. I want him," and they brought him over. But
he dropped a couple, didn't he?
He did. But I want to pull up on something you said there. 54 attempts in the air for Rodgers. 14 attempts on the ground for the Jets. That's
that's
20% of your offensive snaps are on the ground.
That drive in the fourth quarter was like, I think it was 12 consecutive pass plays before they ran it.
Cut out for me then.
Yeah, and me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter on that drive, they had like 12 consecutive pass attempts.
I can't hear you again.
No, you keep cutting out, dude.
Just as the bit where he says the important bit as well.
Yeah, literally.
Like, your tablet knows exactly when to do it.
By the way, whilst we're waiting for all these technical difficulties, do we think Brian Flores has got high stock at the moment?
Yes.
I think he's doing an excellent job with his Vikings defense.
But would you say he's going to get another job as a HC?
No.
Yeah, he's still got to do a bit more before that, I think. But if he continues to, let me say this: if they make it to, I don't know, divisional round or even the conference championship game, I think he's got a chance to be getting. But then again, you have got. It's hard though because when you've got Kevin O'Connell, he's one of the best play callers. So is it all on him or is it? It's tough to. You have to balance it out a bit because they've both been playing really well on both sides of the ball. So,
Ole, are you back?
Am I back?
Yes.
I was just saying that they had 12 consecutive pass plays in the fourth quarter on that drive, the Jets before they had a run play. Just plays into how much they were one dimensional in their approach in this game. You're asking a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers to drop back nearly 50 times in a game. It's just never going to be a good recipe. So obviously, as I caught in on the back end talking about was it Brian Flores being hired as a head coach kind of thing, it's definitely going to get the talk this off season for sure. But I think the one thing that always holds back someone in his situation to a certain degree is that he has been a head coach, and obviously we all know
It
how
didn't
that kind
work
of went.
out.
We all kind of know
Yeah.
how that went with Miami, which obviously resulted in a lawsuit. So we'll see. I think it's a combination of both of them. To your last point there, Tom, you've got Kevin O'Connell, one of the best offensive play callers in the NFL right now.
He
And
might be the best at the moment with the
he
way
might
that
be the best, yeah. And you pair him with Brian Flores, who's got one of the he's got that Vikings defense as one of the best defenses in the NFL right now. So that definitely a great combination from them both.
It's the Vikings' first
fantastic.
5-0 start as well.
Yeah.
In 9 years, I believe. So
we all know what that means. They're gonna make it to the divisional round and lose an absolute nail biter, heartbreaking game, like the Vikings always do. But until that time, no, I'm joking. I'm joking, Vikings fans. This is going to be the year.
I really like Justin Jefferson though. He he's unbelievable. My 8-year-old son has now been educated that he brought the griddy.
Hey,
Yeah,
he probably just knew it from Fortnite.
he's my
Yes.
he's my favorite player in the league. Like bar Mahomes. Like I've been watching Justin Jefferson since he was in college. Like I mean, the guy's ridiculous.
He's got so much swag, isn't he?
Oh, it's just. I mean, I remember I wrote an article when I first started doing blogs and stuff, and it was in his rookie year, and I was like, this guy's going to be so good, and he's gone on to. I was like, he's gonna have all pros. He's gonna adapt to the NFL like a duck to water, and then he's gone and done it. So yeah, he's a big amazing one.
So with Fletch currently not here, should we move on to the next game with the Cardinals and 49ers? Did anyone
Definitely
catch this game? I mean, I saw the first half of this game through the red zone, the late window red zone that I had on after the Browns game. But I went to sleep before seeing this comeback win for the Cardinals. So if you saw the comeback win, Tom, I want to give me a bit of a and the listeners a bit of a recap on that.
Sure. Yeah. It was a really good game, to be honest. Like it was, I think the first play from scrimmage for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray runs it 55 yards down the sideline for a touchdown, including, he was at the 40, and he was already putting his arm, like he already knew that he was going to run for a touchdown. Like he just had that confidence, he's got that speed, and I think that's the quickest speed that a quarterback has taken it in like 8 years or something like that. I saw something. So,
I tell you what, that man now he's fit. He's a threat.
Oh, he's ridiculous. But yeah, to me with the 49ers, they had this game won. They were up by, I think they were up by 11 points or something at one point.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals, came back and ended up. Yeah, I don't know how the 49ers won this game, but very impressive for the Cardinals to come back.
Didn't Mason fumble?
Yeah, Mason fumbled, and then that was kind of the thing that, brought the momentum back the other way.
Yeah.
It looked like they were going to run out the clock then, but then, they fumble. Cardinals get the ball back, they get a touchdown, and then, it's a really impressive win for the Cardinals. And just, the 49ers, obviously I know they got injuries and stuff, but, falling to 2-3 in the NFC, in an NFC that's performing quite well, actually, in some aspects. Like, they've got a hole to dig themselves out of as well. And in the division as well, they're still they're a game back.
Weird, they're not using Debo much, are they?
No, it was his first game properly back since he was injured. Brandon Ayuk had a really good game, so it was kind of more of a Brandon Ayuk game. Jordan Mason, before he fumbled, he was playing well. Brock Purdy, obviously, he was quite unlucky with the last play, being that, he threw it up and then it got deflected. And, when it gets deflected, the likelihood is that someone's going to pick it off.
Mr. Irrelevant
again. That is a problem with those smaller quarterbacks is getting those passes deflected at the line of scrimmage. But I think what sticks out to me the most is credit to the Cardinals defense. I mean, they gave up 23 points in the first half and then shut in the 49ers out in the second half, giving their offense a chance to get back into that game. And they were able to do that with 14 points in the second half, 11 points in the fourth quarter to, as you said, Tom, complete this comeback. And as you said, that NFC West is getting pretty spicy at the minute. You've got the Cardinals at 2-3. You've got the 49ers at 2-3. Obviously, with the Seahawks losing now, are they what 3-2?
Yeah, 3-2, and then the Rams are 1-4.
So it's a wide 1-4 with a after their loss. So it's a wide open division right now. So something that I think a lot of people probably didn't expect. I think we thought the 49ers, or maybe some people had the Rams, and both of those teams are currently sitting fourth and third in that division with the Cardinals and the Seahawks currently above them.
I was going to say as well, we had some, as Batch alluded to, before we actually started broadcasting, we had two ridiculous return plays within the space of about 5 minutes. Obviously, we had one in this Seattle Giants game with the Giants traveling all the way to Seattle and actually coming out with the win. Really impressive performance by Daniel Jones and without
who would have thought you would have
Davis
said
as
that?
well, and Devin Singletary. Yeah, exactly. Who would have thought we would be saying that? But he performed really well. But one of the touchdowns looked like it was going to be a Giants touchdown, fumbled, picked up by the Seahawks, and he goes all the way, 101 yards for a touchdown the other way, which was nuts. I mean, I thought that was nuts. Then Red Zone turns over to the other game with the Broncos blowing out the Raiders. But, Pat Surtain, the best corner of football, I don't think there's any debate about that, picks the ball off and goes all the way to the house. So, and there was a questionable, they had a flag down. I'm glad they picked the flag up because, if that's a flag, then, why are they playing football? But, great pancake block, and then he goes all the way. And, I'm so glad that they allowed that to stand.
Oh, Gardner got absolutely put down, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But we were talking about the Cardinals, talking of their defense. Buda Baker needs a shout out because he is a monster as well. I seem to keep bringing up defenders, but I have in my fantasy a few of the things I have defenders on, so I appreciate a good defender. And being a Brown, we got Miles.
Veteran, isn't he? He's been in the league for 10 years now, and it doesn't matter if he's injured. I think I've seen him play with like one of those grab things where he's got a broken arm or whatever, and he's still playing.
Buda Baker's class, and Cardinals' defense seem to be clicking at the moment. Go on, Fletch. Sorry,
I've said before on this. I like to claim that I am never wrong. I'm just not right yet on most of the predictions that I make because they do eventually come true, just not generally within the time frame I give them. The one that I will gladly turn around and say I was wrong on was I said a few years ago Tracy Walker would go on to have a better career in the NFL than Buda Baker, and that's just that's obviously never happened. But what a player Buda Baker is! Buda Baker is absolutely phenomenal. I love the guy.
Yeah,
I really do.
He just plays with heart and soul. He just plays the game the way it's supposed to be played, like for his position as well. And if the Cardinals got this win as well, so they can get a bit of momentum. That would be great for them. Because if they dropped to if they'd lost this game, or if they go to 1-5 or whatever it was before, the possibilities of it, they could have been like there would have been teams being like, how much do you want for Buda Baker? Because like the guy adds a great piece. I know he's obviously older, but he's just got that much experience, that good of a player for a long time. There'll be teams after him 100%.
Well, they go on next week to play the Packers. Who've just come off I can't remember what their score was. I tried to
win against
24-19.
Yep, the 24-19 win against the Rams. So
Rams' D line is impressive.
Oh yeah, very good.
is it Whittington? He had a good game for the Rams this weekend.
The wideout. Yeah, he's proven to be. I mean, I watched some. There was someone analyzing some of his film, and they say, some of the routes and stuff that he does, he's quite like Cooper Cup. And he proved moments in this game where he was, he was making those inside like throws or inside catches and running up the field. So he performed really well. I think Kyron Williams had another good game.
Yeah.
I think he's got 8 games in a row with a touchdown or something like that. So he seems to be firing.
Yeah.
And obviously I wanna take this opportunity to say that I said that Xavier McKinney was going to be an absolute playmaker for the Green Bay Packers when when he got traded there. And that's 5 weeks in a row where he's got a pick. He's
class.
It out. So yeah,
how did the Giants let him go? That's the question you got to ask. How did they let him go to Green Bay Packers?
Don't know.
He's he just adds such a great piece on the defense. And yes, I know, Fletch, you're not a massive Packers fan, but as a defender, he is, he's what you need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know what gave you that idea that I wasn't a massive Packers fan. I don't know how you figured that out, but fair enough.
I think,
I
think for me, it's just unfortunate for the Rams this year. I mean, the injuries that they've faced, especially on the offensive side. I can sympathise as obviously the Brown season last year. I mean, granted, we made the playoffs and did something that was quite mad, but in terms of like just dealing with the amount of injuries, it seems that every week someone else important's getting hurt. And credit to them, they have fought. They've, other than that Cardinals game, they have put up a pretty decent effort in every game, despite being 1-4. I think for them, it's just how many injuries can a team sustain, and I think they've kind of crossed that line of too many.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if you're the Rams, you're missing Puka, you're missing Cooper Cup,
entire offensive line. It feels like
literally the whole.
And then on your defensive side of the ball, Aaron Donald retired, which, let's be honest, is going to be a huge miss anyway.
Oh, 100%. He's a closer. He's one of those guys in the game. Like him, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. These guys, Chris Jones. They're there to make those plays that are just going to end games and end important games. And he's certainly one of those.
But Packers wise, Jordan Love had another good game.
Good game back.
Yep, back into his groove.
Surprised though that they've suspended Dobbs, haven't they?
Yep, conduct detrimental to the team.
Was
I
it
think
2 or 1 game?
One game. I think he posted some. You know what it's like in 2024. It's always an Instagram story or a Twitter post. Something to do. He's obviously not happy with the target share, as you alluded to earlier, Batch. Some of these wide receivers seem to care more about how many targets they get than whether or not their team's winning games. And the Packers are winning games, and they're currently 3-2, which to me opens up a really interesting NFC North, Fletch. I know you might not want to admit it as much, but you've got the Vikings at 5-0. You've got the Bears and the Packers at 3-2, and obviously you guys are 3-1 going into tonight, Fletch.
Yeah, so
they're on bye, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're on bye. You're not playing tonight. That's the Chiefs Saints.
No.
So you are free. Yeah. So obviously you lose your next game. This could get very interesting pretty quickly. This division, and I think has a good shout for being one of the best divisions in the NFL this year.
Yeah, definitely. This is something that we're going to hit on Thursday in the preview show. Is how certain divisions we looked at earlier in the year, or maybe before the season got started, which ones have and haven't lived up to hype, which ones
you mean the
I wonder.
NFC I wonder. That we trashed on. Yeah,
I'm thinking more about the other North in the AFC side that
no.
A few of us had 3 teams making the playoffs out of, and we've currently got 2 1-4 teams. So
No, but I just think in general, what I want to talk about, which divisions look a lot closer or a lot worse than maybe we first thought at the beginning of the season. Which divisions did we say are going to be very tough to win? That maybe look like a team's going to run away with it. So that's something we're going to hit on Thursday, something I think we're going to go into a bit more detail on. And absolutely for me right now, the NFC North is realistically showing itself as potentially be going down as one of the tougher divisions, because once the Vikings start to lose, and I promise you, they look like, no, it's going to sound arrogant, they look like they can be beaten. They've shown where they can be beaten, I think. It's going to get very tasty if Caleb is taking off now with that. If the Packers always just find a way to win. That's something they always do anyway.
And they've got Jaden Reed.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is... I mean, he's the best wide receiver in Green Bay, I think. So, his versatility. What they even hand him the ball sometimes to run it, and he's just his speed is ridiculous as well. He's just an absolute beast, and it helps that I have him in both my fantasy teams. So,
have we covered every game? I was just about to say, was there any?
Was my
no,
question.
We've got loads left.
So I want to say I don't want to get in too much into everything. And we talked about Falcons Bucks. Yeah.
No, we haven't. That was a crazy game.
Do you want a shootout that was?
Shootout.
Do you want a couple of minutes on this? I'm wary of time. Do we want a couple of minutes on this, and then we'll just fly through the last?
I think the most obvious thing is Kirk Chains with 500 yards, 4 touchdowns in a prime time game. Something that a lot of is kind of been his joke against him. That he can't win in prime time. And he went and threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet that the Falcons did. They put, so there's only 2 quarterbacks that have ever got that stat line in a primetime game, and they listed it as Kirk Cousins and thou who shall not be named. Obviously referring to a certain
Drew Brees,
a certain quarterback.
Drew Brees. I even quoted it. I think I quoted that tweet and just went, "I'm just here for the Harry Potter reference. I don't care."
Yeah. I commented thinking, I didn't know Voldemort played quarterback,
but Kirk Chains had a great game. To be fair, Big Baker Mayfield, another good game.
Yep.
In the first half.
Yeah, Buccaneers kind of gave away the game. I thought, to be fair, I think the Falcons took hold of it. But the Bucs should have iced this game, but they allowed the Falcons to, obviously a great ending drive from, Kirk Cousins, and then for him to, throw that touchdown to Kareem Hodge, who is
Daryl
Hodge.
Whoa! You're on a podcast with 2 Browns fans here. Thank you very much.
Listen,
that is Browns legend to Daryl Hodge to you. Great, he's a great person. I'm really happy for him. When he was at the Browns, honestly, he was one of the nicest guys. He was always happy to do the interviews and all the social media stuff. Really, really easy person to get behind and root for.
I'm sorry, I didn't know he was on the Browns.
So, Tom, I would like and apologise.
I
would like an apology for Daryl Hodge, not whatever you just tried to mispronounce. Unfortunately,
I'm sorry to Kadaro Hodge.
There we go.
I thought his
by the way,
was incredible.
It was a great
going
touchdown.
Back to the game. Pitts turned up finally.
Yep.
Finally,
he didn't finally turn up. Kirk Chains remembered he has a title.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people had been predicting him for 1,000 yards years for the last couple, and he's done nothing. So I want him again. I want him to do well, probably because I have him in at least 1 or 2 of my fantasy teams.
Yeah. So
Drake London as well. I think he had 2 touchdowns. He had a really good performance
130 yards or something.
Yeah, exactly. He had a monster game. So
Rashad White
back, but
did they? They had 2 guys with over 100. Darnell Mooney had a good game. He had over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Good game from him. So great win for Atlanta, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, to obviously walk it off with a 58-yard field goal. There's not many better ways to win.
Should have a happy Falcons fan next time he's on. Then, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, double
exactly.
happy. He's
Double happy.
he's had a great week with the Falcons and him celebrating it. So
Yeah, exactly.
So on that note, looking just going to go over all the results again one more time. If that's okay.
Yep.
So obviously we started the episode with Ravens beating the Bengals 41-38. The Bills then the Texans then beat the Bills 23-20. The Jags beat the Colts 37-34. The Falcons beat the Bucks 36-30. The Cardinals beat the 49ers 24-23. The Packers beat the Rams 24-19. And finally, in the last little section that we got was the Vikings beating the Jets 23-17. Bears beating the Panthers 36-10. Dolphins Patriots was an absolute snooze fest 15-10.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns got battered by the Commanders 34-13.
Thanks, Fletch.
You're welcome.
Yeah, moving on.
The Broncos then beat the Raiders 34-18.
I will just say I'm happy for Commanders fans, a fan base that has been through terrible ownership the last few years. I say last few years, last decade plus. They've not had much to root for over there in the nation's capital in recent memory. So for them to have their, what is quite evidently their franchise quarterback, as bad as it was as a Browns fan on our end, I can always be happy for other fan bases, and for them, as I said, for them to have their franchise quarterback. There's not many better feelings for a fan base than to get a young quarterback and know that he's your guy, and you could potentially have him for the next 10 years. And he's definitely shown that with his performance. He's been fantastic. If you do want to hear about the Brown side, you don't need to check it out here. You can just go see it on my channel and see me cry about it over there, because I don't really want to talk about it for a second time today. So,
and Brian Robinson is class.
Yeah,
and Brian Robinson is class.
It's fine. We'll move on from the Commanders beating the Browns 34-13. I won't mention the 34-13 again. I promise.
That's all right. It would have been even worse if it wasn't for a garbage time touchdown. So.
Then the Giants beat the Seahawks 29-20, and the Cowboys beat the Steelers 2017. But actually, that was a lie. I just told you a lie. I do want to bring one thing up about that game, and I do have to throw it out there. Batch, you would have seen it on the Asleep at Work Network Facebook. Don't know if you saw it on the Twitter as well. Your quarterback rating in the single digits for the second time this season. On week 1, it was 8.3. This week's quarterback rating, 8.5. We know stats don't always tell the full story, but for crying out loud, is it Winston time?
No, it's DTR time. We drafted DTR. Let him develop.
I don't hate the argument. I mean, to be honest, I think most Browns fans, I think 90% of us now just can't be bothered to watch the guy play quarterback anymore. It's painful. We're not having fun watching the Browns play football. As Browns fans, we know more than anyone. You don't have to always be winning games and winning, having winning seasons to at least enjoy the product on the field and at least have a good experience on game days, whether that's at the game or whether at home watching, with your mates or by yourself. And at the minute, it's just not a fun experience for Browns fans. Every week, it's almost dread rather than excitement, having to watch the just disaster that the offense is putting out every week. Personally, for me, I mean, yes, I don't want to watch that guy play quarterback anymore. But if you're going to ask me from a football perspective and take my fanhood out of it, I don't think a quarterback change does anything. It's not going to inject any life into this offense, in my opinion. The problems, yes, while they start with the quarterback, they don't end with the quarterback. There's way more deeper rooted problems with this offense that even a quarterback at this point, I just want a quarterback change for the vibes. It's got nothing football related about it. I don't think they'll win more games because of it. I'd just be happier going into a game day seeing a Jameis Winston speech when he's about to go and suit up and play, rather than having to watch him do the speech and then see Watson stood there not even doing a speech because he's not a very good leader. I'm joking. I won't go too much into it, but no. yeah, if you want to change the quarterback, because at this point we're just done with it.
Go on, Batch.
So I've got one for you. Fletch, Mrs. Fletch is a saint.
She is.
Was she a fan
That's
of
nice of you
Jameis?
to say. That's nice of you to say. Sorry, what was the question?
Was she a fan of Jameis Winston? Because from his stats and everything, he looks very heavily picked off as a QB.
You are way overstating my wife's knowledge of this sport. She doesn't know who Jameis Winston is.
Yeah, like he's not.
He
He throws a lot of picks. It's the Jameis Winston experience. Like this is the only player in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions.
And
they still need
33 picks. Yeah.
No, it was 30 picks, 33 touchdowns.
Was it 30?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wasn't he the same man?
30 for it.
They do, 100%.
Wasn't he the same man that ignored his OC on the last game of the season?
Yes, he was.
To get someone a touchdown.
Jamal Williams.
He got Jamal Williams' touchdown. He hadn't had a touchdown all year.
I won't go into it too. I know we're running on for time here, but it was really funny because the whole Jameis to the Browns thing started as a joke in the start of the offseason. A few people within the Browns fans were making a joke about it, like, you know what this team needs? They need Jameis Winston as the backup quarterback just for the vibes. And then they actually signed him, so it was quite hilarious. Just to go back to the original point that you said, Fletch. Yeah, I mean Jameis Winston, I'm a big fan of him. I think if you bring him in, it's going to just, if anything, it's going to improve the game day experience for Browns fans. Gives us something a little bit more to enjoy.
Yeah. So just like I say, I want to remind you there. It's a fair point though. But I did read one stat earlier this weekend that said you cannot spell Winston without wins. And I'm sold already for him. So
come on then.
Eat those W's, baby.
But yeah, just I promise you, Batch, my wife can name 3 players on the Saints now. Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure if I mention Derek Carr, she thinks he works at her office. Just overstating. My wife's here for the vibes. She's here for the banter.
Yeah, but she comes on and slings a bit of shit towards Ollie and then walks off again.
Oh no, thanks for backing me up there.
Because my wife's here for the banter.
I was really upset about that.
That wasn't my fault.
I was really upset about that.
I know. I listened to it and I was like, "Oh wow!"
I didn't even say.
I messaged Fletch about that.
I didn't even say anything. I even picked the Saints to win the game, and then I just get caught. I catch a stray, and I mean, yeah, I'm still hurt about it, Fletch. I'm still waiting for the written apology. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Clearly, I'm still hurt, as you see how rattled I am about it.
Stay waiting.
But the Guardians currently have 2 players on base, so I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge.
Do you? I must be a bit behind you at the moment. So anyway, we want to wrap this up with a nice conversation, one that we can all have a little bit of fun. Now, I watched a video earlier this week of Keegan-Michael Key on Julian Edelman's podcast, where they were speaking about the Chiefs fan text chain, the one that's really famous, featuring lots of famous Chiefs fans. And he asked him, who would you have in your Lions fan text chain, like a famous fans? Now, my question to all of you is, you get the opportunity to invent a list or famous text chain with you and 5 famous fans of your team. Any 5. There are a couple of rules to this. Is 1, we've got to know who they are. Even if I don't know their name, if they're an actor and I don't know the name, that's fine. But if you can at least turn around and say, "Oh, they were in this," and you can go, "Okay, fair enough." Like that's fair. And you've got to actually think you're limited to 5, and it's got to be a legit. Well, no, it's not legit. I'm not going setting it up for you. Don't worry about that one. But think of it as an actual text chain. These people have got to get along. You've got to have good vibes in this chat. You can't just throw 5 random people in and just hope it works and pretend it works. So
we've discussed this, Ollie, haven't we?
Do you want to tag team
the
this
Tigers
Chiefs,
just got an incredible double
this
play.
Browns one?
Incredible double play. That was fair play to your Tigers there, Fletch. Just saved some runs. We have talked about this.
I'm about a minute behind you here.
Sorry. We have talked about this, me and Batch. We have come up with a list. I will kick us off with my first nomination on of our list, and that is going to be Kid Cudi, the man, the myth, the legend. Not only a Cleveland native, an avid Cleveland sports fan. Always, he's okay. Maybe he's at the NBA games more than the football games, but still, great artist, as I'm sure most of you know, and all a pretty down to earth and pretty cool personality as an artist as well. So Kid Cudi definitely on mine and Batch's text chain. Second batch.
Number 2, we will go for Mike the Miz Mizanin, who is a WWE wrestler. He's absolutely avid about the Browns. He smashed a guitar before the game a few times. He loves the Browns, and he's actually quite funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's number 3?
I don't know much about the Miz, but he's definitely, in terms of his wrestling stuff, but he's definitely at the forefront of the famous people repping Cleveland sports. For me, number 3 is going to be MGK, Machine Gun Kelly.
He's
there is only one reason why Machine Gun Kelly will be on this list, and it's because
there's only 2 other people you can think of.
Browns fans currently aren't going. No, hold on. First of all, he is a record-selling artist. One of the highest-selling pop punk albums of the year a few years ago. No, the only reason he is on this.
At least we're not talking about his rap.
Yeah. The only reason he is on this text chain is because, as I was saying, Browns fans currently aren't having the best season. And what do Browns fans need? They need a bit of a pick-me-up. And I think no one better would be able to supply the supplements needed to pick Browns fans up at the minute than MGK. So that's why he's on the list. He's our connection.
And then the next one, Drew Carey.
Yep. He was the
Drew Carey.
He spoke at the first game back from reactivation. He did the whole speech, getting the crowd, geared up for a game which we ended up getting slapped by the Steelers. But we don't need to talk about that. Most people know him from the Drew Carey show. Obviously, actor, comedian, getting on a little bit now, but he's a pretty good comedian, and I'm sure he'll be able to provide some good jokes. And finally,
now this next one might surprise you all, because he's not a Cleveland native, but he was actually a friend of one of our most famous running backs. He was a friend of Jim Brown. His name was Elvis Aaron Presley.
Yep.
He's credited as being a Cleveland Brown. Now, let's be honest, it's Elvis Presley. Who would not have a group chat with Elvis Presley? He is a hero.
He might be dead.
He's not going to be a very active member of this group chat, is it?
No, hold on. He might be dead.
You never said past or present, though.
But MGK, I think, while supplying supplements, he does seem to be into some kind of witchcraftery stuff. So I reckon he could do some kind of seance, and we can get Elvis to reply a little bit quicker. That is our 5. I dare you to try and beat it.
All I'm saying is, flexing over a pop punk album in 2020 is like not on my bingo card today.
By Eminem to the point where you have to move genres.
I'm a huge Eminem fan. I've seen him twice, so I am in the Eminem camp.
Oh, Eminem!
The reasons Ollie used. The reasons Ollie used were valid, if you get me.
You need these connections, guys. It's all about networking.
I do. No, to be fair, I do like it. He's here for the drugs. We'll take him for the narcotics.
Well, you said it. You said it.
Let's just say it. Let's
I mean,
just
you
say
said it, man. I mean, I've been trying to keep it PG-13, but yes, I'm sure he could provide certain green substances that might be needed for a lot of Browns fans right now.
Green. No, more than green.
Well,
Weed.
yeah, you're not wrong. Browns fans, we need a lot more than green right now. But
Okay.
I didn't think I didn't think we'd get too into. Fletch, you said it, not me.
Yeah, could I do my
Let's go, Tom. Let's go, Tom.
Yeah, go on then, Tom. Beat that.
So
Paul Rudd.
Tom, would you like to go first?
I know there's a lot of fans of the Chiefs.
Bandwagons.
But picking out a few celebrity ones,
Taylor
I've
Swift.
gone for Paul Rudd as one.
Oh.
He's lifelong Chiefs fan. So yeah, obviously I'm going to pick Paul Rudd. Then I'm going to go for Jason Sudeikis. Also,
Absolute legend.
a legend, comedian. In one of my favorite comedies, or horrible bosses of him. Just it's hilarious. But
Ted Lasso, and you haven't mentioned it.
I haven't seen it, but
Get out.
But no, he's a really good actor. In like with the Millers and stuff like that. He's hilarious.
He's funny.
So yeah, he's definitely. Those are two guys that can make bring the banter.
Ollie's gonna call Taylor Swift in a minute.
In the group chat. Then next one's a bit of a rogue one, but I'm gonna go for Caitlin Clark here. She is also a lifelong Chiefs fan. Has been like all her life. There's so many pictures of her wearing like Chiefs gear and stuff, and she's always at the Chiefs games if she's not playing. So yeah, Caitlin Clark's gonna make the list. So that's 3 I've got, right? And then 2 more. Some mixed ones. So you got Brad Pitt is also a Chiefs fan and has been for a long time. He's been to a bunch of the games and stuff. So yeah,
he is a cool guy.
Well, that's where you get your weed from, then, Tom.
And then my final one, I'm gonna go for Tech 9. The insanely fast battle rapper.
Okay.
Also, from the Kansas City area. A very random one and a very random list. Don't get me wrong, but there would be some stuff popping off in this chat.
Hold on. Why is there no Taylor Swift, Tom?
Yes, that's what I'm waiting for.
Because I'm sick of it, man. I don't need to be.
She is an Eagle.
Yeah,
but...
it's just like I would rather keep clear of that. Like they can Taylor Swift can have her own chat, like with Travis Kelce and everyone else. But no, I don't want the drama of it because I know that it's going to go all over social media and stuff. But
Caitlin's from Iowa. How is she a Chiefs fan?
She has been her whole life, so you can look at
that. Is that like what most
Chiefs
fans say when they're like, "Yeah, I've been a Chiefs fan my whole life," or is that?
No. Well, she actually fully has. So
she has.
Is that like 90s kids being Man U fans?
Yeah.
I will. I can send you evidence on it if you
it's
really
fine.
need.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, my bachelor's list was better anyway, so I'm not too worried.
Come on then, Fletch. Let's go with yours.
Ollie and Tom have pretty much seen mine because I used it as an example in the group chat. So obviously, number 1, you go with the greatest rapper of all time. Eminem's in there. He's the number 1 on the list. And I quite frankly didn't want to add anybody else. I just want the chat between me and Eminem. Listen, you said you were flexing a pop pump album in 2020. No.
Greatest.
I went with...
Yes. So many will even credit him with it.
Then I went with the obvious Keegan-Michael Key. Although he has ruined my life to the point where I can no longer use my first name properly, I still think he's a very funny man, and I would like.
Aaron.
I would absolutely. He's a great. He just seems like a really good guy in general. He's going to have great flowing conversation, but he's also going to bring the banter because one thing we all know about him, Eminem's awkward. He'll have a good banter and then he'll be dead awkward for a bit. So, someone's going to keep it going. Then Jeff Daniels is going to be in there as well.
OG.
I can't name anything else he's been in, but just because he's been in the Dumb and Dumber trilogy, that's all that matters to me. And he and Peyton Manning were the ones who lifted the curse that ever since the Lions.
I saw that.
When we were
the
1 and
bath
6,
in the bathtub
in
the end zone or something, wasn't it, Fletch?
when we were 1 and 6 in Dan Campbell's second season, they lifted the curse, and ever since then, we were like 8 and 2 finishing that season. Then we made the playoffs, and what it's incredible. So he gets in just off that alone. Next up, I started to get a bit difficult. I could go for someone like Big Shaun, but maybe I'm a big fan of Big Shaun. But then I went, do you know what? Let's go with Taylor Lautner. For obvious reasons. That is Jacob from Twilight.
Get out.
I'm
Why are you
I'm
using
trusting your pick for that. I
don't care.
Fletch? It's Twilight.
What?
I'm
Twilight
better
is
of
so
you.
bad.
Jacob-
It's so unbelievable.
Have you guys not seen what's it called? The British comedy that he was on? Oh, what was it? What was it
with
called?
BBC
Greg
Three.
Davis.
Cuckoo.
Greg
Yeah,
Davis.
yeah.
Cuckoo.
He was all right in that.
Cuckoo's good. Cuckoo.
He's been through. But no, he was, and then because he came over and spent a lot of time in the UK, did a lot of things in the UK. So I also feel like that helps with some of that conversation. It really helps with some of the conversation having him in. But he's been a massive Lions fan for a long time, and I've seen some of the stuff, like not necessarily as an actor that he's done, but I've seen some of the other interviews that he's done. Again, just a genuinely very nice guy. So I think it'd be good for the conversation. And finally, I did go with Sam Richardson. If you are not aware of who Sam Richardson is, Batch, you will definitely know who he is because he was Mr. Akufu from Ted Lasso. He's been in a number of other things. Brilliant comedian with Tim Robinson. But I chose Sam Richardson instead.
I thought he was hilarious in Ted Lasso. To be fair,
he was brilliant.
He was a horrible man, but he was hilarious at the same time.
He's brilliant, and obviously, I mean, look, I'm devastated that Kid Rock could not make the cut, but oh well. That's really sad.
American badass, Kid Rock, legend.
He's an American knobhead, but
but I'm a big wrestling fan.
I think basically what we've kind of come to the conclusion doing this little
who's
exercise.
Your final pick, mate?
Oh, sorry, did you not make the final pick?
No, I made it. It was Eminem.
Yeah, I was
Eminem, Jeff Daniels, Taylor Lautner, Sam Richardson, and who did I pick second? I can't remember. Keegan Michael Key.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, because Aaron.
Yeah. I was just going to say that I think what we've learned from this this exercise is that Cleveland clearly has
out again.
You're blanking out again, Ollie.
Oh, for fuck's sake. 2 6.
I don't know if Ollie's trying to say that we should.
Ollie's whole Wi-Fi here. When it hears Ollie say, I was just gonna say the Wi-Fi goes. No, don't say it.
By the way, Adele is a Cleveland Browns fan.
Wow.
Yep. Adele is a Cleveland Browns fan.
Then you should have swapped out MGK with Adele. And
I completely forgot about Adele, but she's not really though. She's just dating Rich Paul, engaged to Rich Paul.
Yeah, and she turned around and said if I was to follow an NFL side
because that's his team. Obviously, for those that don't know, Rich Paul is LeBron James's agent. Everyone knows LeBron James is from Northeast Ohio. Is a Cleveland fan himself. Obviously, played for Cleveland. Just quickly wanted to say before I cut off there, I just wanted to make sure I got it on record of me saying this. What we learned from that exercise is that Cleveland has the best fans, famous fans. And fans in general.
Do you know what?
Thank you.
I was really gutted because I don't know how many of you guys kind of had ones that were just didn't quite make the cut. One that was a nearly that I really wish I could put in there was Daniel Radcliffe. Because Daniel Radcliffe is a Giants fan. But there are a couple of photos of him in Lions hats and things like that because his wife is a massive Lions fan. I was like this close to having Harry Potter. This close.
He's a legend as well because of Harry Potter.
An
on that
honourable
note-
mention for the Chiefs would be Rob Riggle. To be fair, do you know
Yes.
what else do you need
Yeah.
to say other than Step Brothers?
We get it. We get it. You guys have loads of famous fans. Oh, look at us. We've got loads of famous fans.
Bandwagons.
If I mean Tim Allen,
It's
Aretha Franklin
quality over
was,
quantity.
Aretha,
Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear
Did you
is a
s-
Lions fan.
Trick Daddy, Fletch, no, yes.
Flavor Flav as well. If you want more rappers in there, Royce the Five
Come
Man,
on,
obviously.
Flavor Flav.
Anyway, we could get at this conversation for a long time. We don't need to be recording it. With that note, thank you very much, Batch, for joining us this week. It's been an absolute delight having you on. I know, Ollie appreciates having another Browns fan, and we've just appreciated having you on in general, my friend. Thank you very much.
I would happily come back. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure, mate. Our pleasure, Tom.
It's on my Spotify subscriptions anyway, so I always listen.
That's my boy.
Love to hear it.
And the two boys know I listen to those two as well.
Hey.
So
Midnight
Tom,
Sports, get a shout
Ollie,
out.
thank you so much again for this evening. I will see you both next week for reviewing week 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peace out.